Good evening. This is CTV News for Thursday, February 21st. I'm Patricia Below.
And I'm Janine Samuels. Thank you for joining us. A detention hearing was held today for a Coast Guard officer accused of planning to kill prominent Democrats and journalists.
And officials say they found numerous weapons and ammunition in 49-year-old Christopher Hassan's Silver Spring home. Denise Douglas has been in the courtroom and is joining us now with all the details.
Well, first off, very packed courtroom. This is a case that has drawn a lot of attention. Christopher Hassan will be held, which is what the judge decided. However, he says that he is giving prosecutors 14 days to consider terrorism charges against him. Currently, he is charged for possession of firearms and having a controlled substance, neither of which, on the face of it, merits holding him. But in making his decision, the judge says state of mind and intention were also taken into consideration. Numerous weapons, ammunition, steroids, survival gear, and other things were found at Hassan's Silver Spring apartment last Friday. The former Coast Guard officer, who is a self-identified white supremacist, is accused of planning domestic terrorist attacks. A lot of detail came out in the court during the detention hearing. According to a prosecutor, Hassan did internet searches about attacks and bought steroids as he was orchestrating his plan. He allegedly had a list of targets, which included House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, other politicians, as well as journalists. According to court information, he used a manifesto created by terrorist Anders Breivik as his guide. Breivik unleashed 2 attacks in 2011 that killed 77 people in Norway. Court documents do not specify any specific date which Hassan allegedly planned to carry out these attacks.
Sounds tragic here. So what exactly tipped officials off here?
Well, court documents don't specify what led them to him. However, officials say that, he looked at this manifesto numerous times, the Breivik manifesto, and also they found out that he'd been stockpiling all the ammunition and the guns and so forth since 2017.
Oh, wow. Now, we also understand that during the investigations, officials said that he was doing some interesting internet surfing.
Very much so. And what he searched a number of things, Janine and Patty. Best place in D.C. to see Congress people. And then he also searched, are Supreme Court justices protected? And so that obviously caused concern when officials saw that. And one other thing that's really interesting in all that the officials found is that he said, guide my hate to make a lasting impression on this world, referring to what he had allegedly planned to do. So a lot of information that they gleaned from it all.
Okay, a lot more we're going to hear about this case in the future.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks, Denise. Well, a caretaker is sentenced to 5 years in prison and 5 years probation for stealing nearly $100,000 from an elderly woman. 50-year-old Paula Medley stole credit cards and a wedding ring from 88-year-old Geraldine Jackson. You see Jackson right here in the video. Medley used this money for expenses, including a trip to Jamaica with her daughter. Jackson says she found out about the theft after credit card companies and the IRS started to call her.
This is someone who systematically took advantage of a person in her care because she thought that she was vulnerable. Our goal is to get her every last dime that she's out.
It feels good, but it doesn't stop me from feeling stupid. But it feels good. And if my main concern is I don't want this to happen to somebody else. And I know this has happened to others.
And Jackson will speak at an elder abuse event in Kentland in June. Well, in Annapolis today, healthcare workers from across the state descended on that town today in support of raising the state's minimum wage to $15 an hour. SB 280 was heard before the Senate Finance Committee this afternoon. The measure would gradually raise the wage from its current $10.10 an hour to $15 by 2023. Members of the Fight for 15 coalition were there to advocate for the bill.
It's really difficult to make 1010, which is only $21,000 a year, to support yourself or your family. The cost of living is steadily rising. Rent, water bills, electric bills, while wages have pretty much remained stagnant.
A lot of people that we serve, we find that they make minimum wage. They spend most of their fundings for the basic minimums like fooding, clothing, transportation. There's no extra money available to do other things. And some people, because of that minimum wage, have to rely on additional public assistance to make ends meet. We feel like $15 wage will make them more productive to the community. That means they have extra money that they can spend within the community, which bolsters the economy of the community. It's a win-win situation for everyone.
And that bill has been cross-filed in the House.
Well, the twists and turns continue in the alleged hate crime attack against Empire star Jussie Smollett. The actor turned himself in this morning. A judge has set his bond at $100,000 and he must surrender his passport. Smollett faces felony charges for allegedly filing a false police report. Authorities say that he staged the incident and paid two men $3,500 to assault him. Chicago Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson says the investigation shows that Smollett's motive was for financial gain.